I have everybody's attention, please? The next talk is about Israel. So, it's highly possible that a man with a bomb will run into the theater in the middle of the talk, shout out, "God is great," and press the little red button. But I really don't think it's gonna happen tonight, so just forget about it. Relax and enjoy the show. Shalom. It means peace and also hi and goodbye. Shalom. Shalom, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Star, and I will be your host for this evening. Erev. Yes, you can clap. That's enough. Erev Tov. It means good evening and also evening good. Erev Tov. My musician, ladies and gentlemen, Camp David. Aravim. It's the plural of Erev. So, evenings. But also Arab people. Israel, it means Israel, but also a man's name. Tikva, it means ho, 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 but also the title of Israel's national anthem. Chaim, it means life, and Mavet, it means death. It could be death by drowning, or in a car accident, or by suffocation, or poison, or oh God, what's wrong with me? Cancer! Or by a gunshot. Ooh. Oh, I'm really sorry, sweetie. I didn't really mean to shoot you in the face. Rover. It means a gun with many metal bullets, or sometimes with rubber bullets that don't kill people very often and are considered to be a non-lethal weapon. But I just heard a little anecdote involving a gun. And it goes like this. A troop of Israeli soldiers drives into the occupied Palestinian city of Jenin in the middle of the night for arrests. Their hot-shot commander doesn't want headlines all over the newspapers the next day with dead Israeli soldiers all over them. So he uses a very creative technique. He picks out a boy from the first house in the village and tells him to go into the house where they need to do the search. Hey boy, do you speak Hebrew? Good, because I don't speak Arabic. Now listen to me and listen carefully. You go to this house. You tell everybody in the house to open all windows, open all doors, and get out onto the street. Is it clear what I'm telling to you? Only once the house is clear, people in the streets, windows open, doors open, does the commander send his troops in. As the soldiers approach the house, they noticed the front door opening, although everyone was supposed to be in the street. Assuming that that was a terrorist, they immediately started executing the procedure of arrest for suspicious persons. Both in Hebrew and Arabic, they shouted, "Stop!" There was no response. "Stop and identify yourself!" There was no response. "Stop or I will shoot you!" The figure was not reacting. It was just standing there by the doorway. So they continued with the procedure and shot one time in the air, but still the figure did not react. So they continued with the procedure and shot it in the legs, but still the figure did not identify itself. All they could hear was screams of pain. So they continued with the procedure and shot to kill. The body fell to the ground. As the soldiers approached it, they noticed that it was not a terrorist, but the Palestinian boy the commander sent in to clear out the house. Enough! A little costume change. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nir Paldi. I'm a co-artistic director of a theater company called Theater ad Infinitum. You just watched the first few moments of one of our performances. This isn't how I usually dress. Honestly, this is what I'm wearing when I'm playing a character I created called Star. Star is the MC of a Caberet-style political musical about Israel. I created the play along with 5 stunningly beautiful and intelligent women who also performed the show with me. Their characters are called Ruthless Rachel, Rebellious Rebecca, Heartless Hannah, Merciless Miriam, and Lethal Leah. We also have a musician called Camp David, which you've met. The title of the play, Ballad of the Burning Star. It's August 2013. Me and my company are in a makeshift theater premiering Ballad of the Burning Star at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. It's 40 minutes into a packed-out show. Everything is going well. I mount the staircase that runs through the seating, so I have audience members sitting on either side of me. All of a sudden, an angry man grabs hold of my dress, yanks on it hard, and says, "Yitzhak Rabin didn't start the 6-day war." I was in shock. There are no security guards at the doors, and on the staircase in the auditorium, I was essentially by myself with the very angry man. Yes, I had wanted to create a provocative piece of political theater about Israel, but I hadn't planned on getting my nose broken. What do? Very often, theater makers are speaking about wanting to make provocative work, but standing there with a stranger tugging on my dress made me wonder, what is it exactly that we are trying to provoke? And what do we do when the tables turn and the audience provokes us? I decided to look a little closer to see if I could find an answer to these questions. Let's go back. Before he grabbed my dress, as I was performing, I could see the angry man warming up to the fateful dress-grabbing moment each time I glanced to my left. He was getting angrier and angrier every time I said the word occupation. To be honest, I do say it quite a few times during the play, and in a rather annoying way, emphasizing every syllable, trying to stretch out the duration of the word, wanting to make the audience feel the 47 years since the end of the Six-Day War, the 47 years since the beginning of the occupation. The angry man was speaking to the woman beside him, his voice just a tiny bit too loud, his gestures sharp and cutting. So I suspected he was angry. You could tell the woman beside him was embarrassed by his behavior. So, a little blackout. So you could tell that the woman beside him was embarrassed by his behavior. Okay. I was going up. It just mercilessly, okay, let me repeat this. You could tell that the woman beside him was embarrassed by his behavior. Merciless Miriam was standing on a chair and playing the assassinated Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin giving his famous last speech at the peace rally in Tel Aviv in 1995. Shortly after giving his speech, the Prime Minister would be shot dead. At this point in the play, my character continually interrupts the Prime Minister who is trying to give his speech by snatching the mic from him over and over again. She is trying to explain to the audience that the Nobel Peace Prize winning Prime Minister was not only a peacemaker, he also led the Israeli army when they occupied the West Bank, the Golan Heights, East Jerusalem. At that point, the angry man was clearly riled. He was huffing and puffing and whispering to the embarrassed woman beside him. So, when I went to my designated spot amongst the audience that just so happened to be right next to the angry man and the embarrassed woman, I was understandably nervous. I was just about to say my next line when he leaned forward, grabbed my dress, tugged on it, and said, "Yitzhak Rabin didn't start the Six-Day War." The room was electrified, and people seemed to hold their breath. This man was breaking the unspoken boundary between performer and spectator, and not in any predetermined experimental theater kind of way. He was genuinely provoked. When the show ended, I escaped to the dressing room. I was sitting there and taking some time to remove my makeup and think about what just happened. A colleague walked in and asked if I was fine. I said I was. He said, "Wait, did you see what happened just now?" And I responded in a characteristic impatience. Did I see? It was my dress that he was grabbing. Well, no. After that, at the end, after the applause, this man, he stood up and he was shouting to the audience, "This is propaganda. It's one-sided. It's propaganda." And another person stood up and said, "No, it's not. It's a piece of theater." As I was removing my mascara, I was thinking, we had spent 2 years trying to find a way to articulate feelings and thoughts that revolves around a complex situation that would provoke people. And yet, when our work does seem to provoke our people, we seem to be afraid of such a reaction. Moreover, part of us doesn't want this to happen at all. The part of us that doesn't want our noses to be broken. At this point, I was often thinking back to see what would have happened if I had have reacted differently. If I had turned to him and said, corrected his statement and said, I never said that Yitzhak Rabin started the Six-Day War. I said that he led the Israeli army during the Six-Day War. And he would turn to me and say, well, this whole thing is one-sided. Whoever wrote this is an Israel hater. In turn, this would provoke the second audience member who would stand up and say, well, I disagree. For me, the play feels pro-Israeli. And the third one would say, I disagree with you both. I think it's a well-balanced play. It sides neither with the Israeli nor the Palestinians. On the one hand, this whole hypothetical debacle could have sparked a passionate debate. On the other hand, however, the show that we have spent 2 years making would have ceased being performed. The delicate and intricate set of artistic choices that we had assembled into a theatrical piece would have been disturbed, disrupted, and potentially ended. In retrospect, I realized that what I wanted to provoke was not a general reaction. I wanted to provoke dialogue, discussion, and debate. And thankfully, dialogue did happen. It happened after every show at the Edinburgh Festival, when people would wait for me at the dressing room to tell me what they thought. People contacted me through Facebook, Twitter, email. Some people even rang to have a discussion. I believe that the power of a well-thought-through theater piece is greater than watching two people having an argument. If that's what we are looking for, we might as well go on BBC's Question Time, which is a very provocative, dramatic, and sometimes even emotional event, but it's not a piece of theater. And that's not to invalidate any other forms, just to say that they are different. At the end, I think I did the right thing in silencing the man and carrying on with the show. When I got over the initial shock of him grabbing me and saying, Yitzhak Rabin didn't start the Six-Day War, I turned to him and said through the mic, is that right, sweetheart? I would love to hear more of your thoughts, but I have a show to get on with. Perhaps we can meet later at the bar and talk. That's that.